The dusty sports field lay silent under a pale yellow sky. A few broken goalposts stood like tired guards, their paint peeling, their shadows stretching long across the ground. The wind carried the faint sound of children laughing in the distance, but here, this corner of the colony, felt forgotten. Near the edge of the field, a young alien girl sat on a cracked bench. Her skin was pale with a faint silver tint, her hair tied back in a messy braid. In her hands, she held an old, half-flat ball, turning it slowly as if it were the most precious thing in the world. Her right leg ended just above the knee, replaced by a worn wooden support that barely helped her walk. She watched the others play far away, each shout and cheer stabbing at her heart. She used to be on that field once. She used to run faster than anyone. But that was before the accident, the one everyone pretended not to remember. Now, whenever she passed by, they whispered. Some looked at her with pity, others with irritation, as if she were a burden on their perfect game. A shadow fell over her. She looked up and saw a tall figure standing there. A human. His clothes were dusty from work, his hands covered in oil stains. His eyes scanned the field for a moment before landing on her. "You're not playing?" he asked in a calm, steady voice. She looked away quickly, tightening her grip on the ball. "Sorry, sir, I can't play ball," she said softly. He didn't move. His gaze was thoughtful, not pitying, and that made her uneasy. Most people either avoided her or told her to try something more fitting, but this man seemed different. "Can't?" he asked, crouching down so they were eye level. "Or won't?" Her throat tightened. "Can't?" she repeated, her voice almost a whisper. For a moment he said nothing. Then he glanced at her wooden leg, his eyes narrowing, not in judgment, but as if he were studying it. His gaze returned to her face, and there was something unreadable there. "I see," he said simply, standing up again. "Enjoy your day." She watched him walk away toward the edge of the field, disappearing between the rows of small metal houses. Something about the way he looked at her stayed in her mind. Not pity, not mockery, more like a question. The wind picked up, carrying dust across the field. The children's voices grew louder, but she stayed on the bench, staring at the empty space where the human had stood. She didn't know it yet, but the look he gave her wasn't the end of the conversation. It was the beginning of a plan, and this plan would change everything. The next morning, the girl sat on the same cracked bench, the same old ball resting in her lap. She told herself she was only there to feel the air and watch the sky, but deep down, she was hoping to see him again, the human mechanic with the strange eyes. The field was busy today. Kids kicked up dust as they chased after the ball, their shouts and laughter echoing across the colony. Every now and then, one of them would glance at her, then quickly look away. It didn't hurt as much anymore. She had learned to live with being invisible. But when the sound of heavy footsteps approached, she froze. It was him. The human mechanic walked toward her, holding a small cloth in his hand, wiping the grease from his fingers. His clothes were the same, stained from work, but his eyes were sharper, focused, like he was already thinking of something else. "You again," she said, more to herself than to him. He didn't seem offended. "I was passing by," he replied. "Thought I'd check if you changed your mind." She frowned. "About what?" "Playing." Her fingers tightened around the ball. "I told you yesterday. I can't." "Can't," he repeated, his voice steady. "Or won't." She glared at him. "What's the difference? I can't run like them. I can't keep up. And even if I try, they'll just—" She stopped, biting her lip. "They'll just laugh," he finished for her. Her silence was answer enough. The mechanic sat down on the bench beside her, his long legs stretching out in front of him. "You know," he said casually, "machines break all the time. Sometimes they stop working because a part is missing. But that doesn't mean they're useless. It just means you have to replace the part with something better." She frowned, not understanding. "I'm not a machine." He glanced at her wooden leg. "Aren't you?" Her eyes narrowed. "That's rude." "Maybe," he said, leaning back. Or maybe I'm right. She turned away from him, annoyed. Look, sir, I don't know what you're trying to say, but I'm fine as I am. I don't need anyone to fix me. Good, he said, standing up, because I'm not going to fix you. That caught her off guard. Then what do you want? He looked down at her, and for a moment, the corners of his mouth curved into a half-smile. To give you something you've never had before. Before she could ask what that meant, he turned and walked away, heading toward the far end of the colony where the workshop stood. She watched him go, feeling strangely unsettled. She had no idea why a stranger cared whether she played or not. But for the first time in a long while, the thought of being on that field didn't seem impossible. It seemed dangerous. Dangerous because hope was creeping back in. The colony slept under the dim glow of the twin moons. Most houses had their lights off, the air filled only with the distant hum of power generators. But at the far edge of the settlement, one workshop burned with a faint golden light. Inside, the human mechanic worked alone. His sleeves were rolled up, arms streaked with grease. The smell of metal and heated oil filled the air. On the table in front of him lay strange tools, alien alloys, and scraps salvaged from old machinery. He moved with purpose, every motion precise, like a man building something important, something secret. From time to time, he would pause, staring at a half-assembled piece in his hand. It was sleek, light, and shaped in a way that suggested speed. But it was not complete. Not yet. Outside, the night wind carried the sound of small footsteps. A shadow moved near the open window. Two curious kids from the colony crouched low, trying to see what he was making. "What do you think it is?" one whispered. "Some kind of weapon," the other guessed. Before they could get a better look, the mechanic's deep voice cut through the air. "Go home." They jumped, startled, and ran off into the darkness. The mechanic sighed but didn't smile. This wasn't for them. This was for her. Hours passed. He tightened bolts, adjusted angles, and rewired connections until the device gleamed under the workshop light. It wasn't just a replacement. It was better than anything she'd ever had. When he finally stepped back to look at it, his tired eyes softened. "Tomorrow," he murmured to himself. "Tomorrow she'll see." Far across the colony, the alien girl lay awake on her small bed, staring at the ceiling. She didn't know why, but she couldn't stop thinking about the human's words earlier. Something you've never had before. She told herself not to care, not to hope, but sleep wouldn't come. And somewhere, under the hum of the night, she thought she heard the faint ring of metal on metal, as if the future was already being built. Morning came with the smell of rain on the dry soil. The colony was waking up. Merchants opening stalls, kids running through the streets, and workers heading to the mines. The alien girl sat on her bench again, the ball resting on her lap as usual. She told herself she was just enjoying the morning air, but her eyes kept scanning the road for a familiar figure. She didn't have to wait long. The human mechanic appeared from the far end of the street, but this time he wasn't empty-handed. He carried a long bundle wrapped in a faded cloth, cradled carefully in his arms. His steps were steady, his expression unreadable. He stopped in front of her. "Stand up," he said simply. She blinked. "Why?" "Because I want to show you something." Reluctantly, she pushed herself up, balancing on her wooden leg. The mechanic crouched and placed the bundle on the bench. He slowly unwrapped it, and her breath caught. It wasn't just a leg. It was a work of art. Sleek alloy gleamed under the morning sun, with joints shaped for movement, not just walking. Thin lines of alien circuitry ran along its side, glowing faintly as if alive. She stared at it, then at him. What is this?" "A gift," he said, his voice calm but firm. "It's lighter, stronger, and faster than what you have now. It will let you run again." She shook her head, her voice trembling. "I can't take that. I don't even know you. And even if I could, what if I fall? What if I break it?" His eyes locked on hers. "Then we fix it. Together." Her heart pounded. Part of her wanted to refuse, to avoid the risk, the embarrassment, the laughter if she failed. But another part, A small, stubborn spark was whispering that maybe, just maybe, she could do it. He reached out a hand. Trust me. For a long moment, she didn't move. Then, slowly, she placed her hand in his. His grip was steady, strong, and warm. In minutes, the old wooden leg was gone, and the new one was attached. She shifted her weight, expecting it to feel strange. But it was smooth, balanced, almost natural. Try walking, he said. She took one step, then another. Her eyes widened. It was easier than she thought. She looked up at him, a question forming on her lips. He just smiled. That's enough walking. Let's see if you can run. And suddenly, she wasn't sure if she was more afraid of failing, or of finding out he might be right. The mechanic led her to the open field, the same place she had only watched from the sidelines. Today, the air felt different, charged, like something was about to happen. A few kids were already there, kicking a ball around, but they stopped when they saw her. Whispers began immediately. Is she really going to try? Look at that thing on her leg. What is it? She's going to fall. Her throat tightened, but the mechanic's voice cut through the noise. Ignore them. Eyes forward. She nodded, trying to focus on the ground in front of her. The sun was warm on her face, the dust soft under her feet. The new leg felt powerful, almost alive, but her mind kept reminding her. You're not like them anymore. Ready? He asked. She took a shaky breath. I guess. Not good enough, he said firmly. Say it. She swallowed hard. I'm ready. He gave a small nod. Then run. She pushed off with her good leg, the new one following in a smooth motion, until her balance slipped. Word spread fast through the colony. By midday, everyone knew the girl with the wooden leg had a new one, built by the human mechanic. Some said it was just a trick. Others swore they saw her running that morning, faster than they thought possible. By the afternoon, a challenge had been thrown her way. A match. The same kids who used to laugh at her now smirked, pretending they were just curious. But their eyes said something else. They wanted to see her fail in front of everyone. She stood at the edge of the field, heart pounding. The mechanic was by her side, arms crossed, watching the other team warm up. Remember, he said quietly, you're not here to prove them wrong. You're here to prove yourself right. She nodded, clutching the ball tightly before handing it to the referee. The game began. At first, she kept her distance, letting the others chase the ball. But every time it came near her, she felt that familiar surge of fear. The voices in her head screamed, don't trip. Don't fall. They're watching. Then it happened. The ball rolled right toward her, slow but steady. Time seemed to pause. The other players rushed in, ready to steal it, but something inside her shifted. She stepped forward, the new leg gripping the ground with perfect balance, and kicked. The ball shot forward, weaving past two defenders. The crowd gasped. Her teammates shouted for her to keep going. She ran after the ball, dribbling it down the field. Every stride felt smoother, every turn sharper. The world narrowed to her and the goal ahead. One of the boys lunged to block her. She sidestepped, the new leg moving like it was born for this moment. The ball was hers. She kicked. The sound was sharp, clean. The ball sailed through the air and slammed into the net. The field erupted, not in laughter, but in stunned silence, followed by cheers. Her chest heaved, sweat glistening on her forehead. She turned toward the mechanic, and he gave a small nod, as if to say, I told you. For the rest of the game, no one laughed. They just watched her run. The final whistle blew, and the game was over. Her team had won, but the score didn't matter to her. She stood in the middle of the field, breathing hard, the sound of cheering all around her. For the first time since the accident, she felt like she belonged here. Her teammates clapped her on the back, some still in disbelief. The same boys who once mocked her now grinned, shaking their heads as if they couldn't believe what they'd just seen. One of them even muttered, "Didn't know you could move like that." But she wasn't listening to them. Her eyes were searching the edge of the field, where the human mechanic stood. He hadn't cheered, hadn't shouted, he just watched, calm and steady, like he knew this would happen all along. She jogged toward him, the new leg moving easily beneath her. When she reached him, she held the ball close to her chest. Her voice was soft, but every word was full of meaning. "Sir, I can play now," she said. "Because of you." He shook his head. "No. Because of you. I just gave you the tool. You found the courage to use it." For a moment, she couldn't speak. The wind brushed against her face, carrying the scent of the dusty field. She thought about all the days she had sat on that bench, watching life pass her by, believing the game was over for her. Now she knew better. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold, she tucked the ball under her arm and smiled. Not just with her lips, but with her whole being. The field no longer felt like a place she was banned from. It was hers again, and somewhere deep inside, she knew this was only the beginning.